For this assignment, you're going to start by learning how to use a type mask. So you want to start by opening up the Google Docs here, and we're going to learn how to, if you see here how the type kind of acts as a window to see through this shape. So it's basically just like a layer mask, but using type. So you want to start by downloading this butterfly image. Download up here at the top. Once it downloads here at the bottom, you want to click and drag into Photoshop. And the first thing we want to do is I'm going to create a rectangle. So use my rectangle tool. I want to make sure that the fill up here at the top is set to white, and I don't want to stroke. So looking at the example, because I want you guys to make it as close as possible to this, so you can see here, there's just a little bit of negative space between the wing and the box, and a little bit here on the side. So I'm going to click and drag out a white rectangle. I'm not going to worry about the opacity yet. And then next I need to add my text. So I have my rectangle made. I'm going to grab my type tool, and I want to set my font up here to impact. Okay, hit enter. And I want to make sure that I type outside the rectangle, because you can see here, notice how my icon changes when I'm inside of the rectangle and out. If I type here on the rectangle, it's going to confine it within this rectangle. That's not what I want to do. So I'm going to click out here, and I'm going to type in all capital letters, Blooms. And I'm not really too worried about the color of the font. It's whatever. And then I'm going to grab my move tool, Control T, and I'm going to resize my text while holding Shift so it doesn't stretch out. And I want it to fit this box nicely with about 1/4 of an inch around. Hit enter. Next I'm going to type the word butterflies, again outside of this box. So all caps, butterflies, and impact font. I'm going to grab my move tool. I'm going to click. And now that I have a second word, I want to make sure all my words align. So up here I have my rulers. You can bring those up by hitting Control R. So Control R on your keyboard brings those up. I'm going to click on the rulers and drag them out to the edges of my text. Zoom in so I can see better. Click on the rulers and drag. And now I want to take my butterflies text, line it up with that guideline, hold down Shift, and line it up here. Hit enter. So I did the word butterflies because they're both in the same, blooms and butterflies are both in impact. Now the rest of my text is in the font called Bodini. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to my type tool. And I'm going to type the word and in all caps, but I'm going to highlight it and change it to the font Bodini, Bodini. Okay, I have Bodoni here. I'll resize my text here, put it in between blooms and butterflies, and then I'm going to grab my rectangle tool again. I want to change the fill color to, let's pick just black, doesn't matter. I'm going to click and drag out a nice thin line here. And then I need to duplicate that line, so I'm going to hold down Alt on my keyboard. So here's a shortcut to duplicate layers. You could go right click, duplicate, but what I like to do is grab my move tool, hold down Alt, you'll see it changes to 2 arrows. With Alt held down, I'm going to click and drag, and it duplicates that line. Okay, I want to make sure that these are aligned. So I'm going to drag down another guideline. That looks good. And this is the text I'm going to create a mask with. So what I'm going to do is over on my layers panel, I need to rasterize all of these. So I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to click the bottom I can click all of these. So Shift allows you to select multiple layers, or you can click the top, hold down Shift, select the bottom. It's going to select everything in between. So next I'm going to right click, rasterize type, and then right click. I'm going to merge these layers. Okay, and now this is all on one layer. I need to get these pixels selected now. So I'm going to right click on the image thumbnail, and I'm going to hit select pixels, and it selects all of these. So now that these are selected, I'm going to pop onto my rectangle layer here. I'm going to hit the layer mask button down here. Now what it did, so I'm basically done with this type layer. So I can just go ahead and delete. I don't need it. So what it did is, because I had it selected, the layer mask assumed that what I had selected is what I wanted, and that is the opposite. So I need to inverse my layer mask. So I'm going to hit Control I on my keyboard, and it inverses it. So now I have the word blooms and butterflies pretty much as a mask. So that's kind of a cool technique. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back. Now I need to work on the rest of my flyer. So I have the words March 12th through September 18th, 2016 in an orange Bodoni font. So I'm going to switch to Photoshop, grab my type tool again. It's still set to Bodoni. I'm going to click, and I'm going to type in all caps, March 12th through September 18th, comma, 2016. So you always want to spell check. So I'm going to click and highlight the text. I'm going to go to Edit, check spelling, looks good. So I picked the orange color, so I have my text selected. You can double click your T here on your layer, and up here is the color of my text. I picked this orange color because it's the color of the butterfly, and it's always, you want to make a good habit of incorporating the same colors throughout the entire piece. So I'm going to line it up here, Control T, bring it in. All right, so if you look at the example, you're going to see that it's in all caps, but then notice how in the numbers where it says 12, the T and the H are kind of up above and they're smaller. So to do that, I need to bring up my character window. So I'm going to go up to Window, Character, and I'm going to go ahead and highlight the TH, and I want to make it all caps. So here's my character panel. It's how you could basically edit any sort of type. I want to make it all caps, so the T and H is capital. And then you want to also activate this button here, and it's going to make it into what's called superscript. So you can see here, that's how you make the T and the H above. So I'm going to also do that for the 18th, all caps, superscript. All right. So again, I'm going to activate my type tool, Control T, line it up. Next, I need to add this little blurb about the event. So here down here, I have the event text here, so I'm just going to highlight it. Control C, copy. I grab my text tool. What I'm going to do, because I want it to stay within this box, is I'm going to click and drag out a box that I want the text to stay in. I'm going to hit Control V to paste. So here it did the last kind of text I did before. I want this to actually be a dark green, so I'm going to change the color of the text to a dark green color. And then I'm going to go up to my paragraph tab of my character window. And I want to make sure that's set to this kind of setting to where it tries to fill the entire box and that it is centered. So, but then you're going to notice when you have it centered and as opposed to regular centered, I want to avoid this weird negative space. So that's why I picked this. However, you're going to run into this because it tries to to fill in all of this. So you're going to have these weird gaps. So what I need to do is I need to change my text number. So I'm going to try 11.5. And you'll see that it updates. Let's try 11.75. Jump up to 12. Okay, 12.5. Okay, that gets too big, so I'm going to try 12.25. This looks pretty good. So I'm going to drop this down. Okay. Jump back to my, just kind of get that lined up. All right, so in here, you just learned how to make a type mask. You've learned how to use the character panel a little bit more, how to make superscript. Finally, we have all this extra space over here, so I'm going to grab the crop tool. And when I do that, these little brackets pop up around my image. I'm just going to click and drag this in to get rid of some of that extra space and hit enter. Okay. And when you are done, I need you to go up to view, and we're going to clear all those guides. So all those blue lines are gone. And I'm going to just go to File, Save As. Make sure you save it to your U drive and upload it to Classroom. So after you're done doing this and you have it uploaded, part 2, you need to make your own flyer that's 4x6 or 6x4, depending if you want it vertical or horizontal. Make sure that you use Pixabay or Morguefile to get your images. So for example, for the butterfly image that I found, I got that off Pixabay. Pick one of these events. They're all part of the Franklin Park Conservatory, and find an image for it. And I want you to use a type mask, this technique, to create your own flyer. And use all the principles I've taught you about text alignment. Use your color theory, include the same colors throughout, create good balance, and so on. So for this project, you're going to upload 2 project files, this demo one that we just did, and then your own.